Hello and welcome to
Hey, we like your pod.
And we're going to tell you why. Hi, it's Dawn here, and I am joined, as always, by my trusted partner, Matt Pickett. How you doing, Matt? How was your week?
Pretty good, pretty good. I think the highlight is that today is the 21st wedding anniversary of my wife and me. That's how people say it in our language. That's the idiomatic phrase, right? Today's my 21st anniversary with my wife. So very exciting day. I mean, like, you know, it's to say it's an exciting day is a funny thing because it's like we're both people who don't like put a lot of stock in that sort of a like passage of time, especially because 21's like it's not like a milestone one. It's like our marriage is old enough to buy a beer, but you know, so it's like we're not like going to go like have a big celebration tonight, but we are going out to a nice dinner on Saturday, and so it's kind of like, well, this is a neat thing.
Yeah,
and there you go, you know, and that's kind of about as far as it goes for us. But still, no, I mean, you know, excited about that. 21 years so far, you know, of actual marriage, of course, years before that, and still just as in love as ever. So it's a beautiful thing, Dawn.
I love that. How many before you got married? I didn't hear you.
I didn't say, but it would have been like 3 or 4 or something like that.
4.
Three and a half. We started dating in February of my wife's first year of college. And we got married just after she graduated. So I guess three-ish and change. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Happy 21st anniversary. The
Thank
Picketts. I love that. I love it.
So how are you doing? How's your week going? What's up with you?
Dinner. Well, okay. So I made it to Barbenheimer on Sunday. Did the double feature. Kind of unimpressed with both of them, but that's okay. It was fun. Ate a lot of candy. Yeah, bought a lot. Like I bought everything because my friend was picking me up, and I knew she had a super busy week, and she's starting a new job and all this stuff. And she's like, okay, I'm going to pick you up. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to buy a bunch of extra candy that we wouldn't normally get. So I bought, you know, like if you went through the movie counter and you bought like a hot tamale, a good and plenty, milk duds, junior mints, nerds. Like I had like 9 different candies.
Good Lord. And then you went into a diabetic coma.
I know, not great for me, but I didn't eat that much of it. But we had a healthy meal in between them. So I didn't feel too horrible. And hello, Lorenzo. Lorenzo says, hi, football is back. So excited watching it now. How's the Hall of Fame going? The Hall of Fame game. I was going to put it on my phone, but they wanted to charge me. And I'm like, I'm not ready for that. Not for that.
Give us a free game or two, man. Jeez.
So I'll wait. I mean, I would have been too distracted anyway. So tell us what's going on. It's just the third string, right? For both teams or not?
Right.
Yeah.
It's got to be. I mean, do you think Aaron Rodgers is going to go out there for like a preseason game? I doubt it.
Right.
I don't think it's happening.
Right. So, yeah. So let's see what else. Saved another kitten. This time it did involve, I kid you not. And I tried to tweet about it, but Twitter is being really weird. I can't I post and I comment and they go up like 10 days later when it's completely irrelevant. Okay. So same neighbor who called me about the other kitten called me, I think it was Friday. And I had just done 2 walks. I walked somewhere and I came back and I'm like, oh, I have to run to the store. So I was really tired and hot and ready to go home. And she called me and she's like, what do I do? And long story short, there was this tiny little kitten mewing in these hedges, like way inside by the park and ride by the train, right behind the sign. And I mean, I am so scratched and so bruised, and I've got a rash because I was bit by at least 3 things. 2.5 hours later, I couldn't walk on Saturday. I got, with the help of other friends and the Humane Society, after 2.5 hours of me climbing around in there and trying to cut through the shrubbery, we got her. And she was a purebred. She is a purebred Himalayan. Like, what on earth?
Wow.
Seal Point Himalayan. Beautiful blue eyes, brown tipped ears with the cream coat. Just beautiful kitty. And I got first dibs on her, but I can't get another kitty because of Tasha's situation. That's why I don't have Pepe.
Right.
So, but boy, that was tempting. In fact, my friend has 2 cats and a dog, and she told me yesterday she had really been seriously considering taking her. Yeah, but she'll get a great home. I mean, a cat like that is, if you get it from a breeder, would be a couple $1,000. So somebody's going to get a great deal. I have a feeling somebody from the Humane Society will take her, more than likely. Anyway, So that was exciting. I could hardly walk on Sunday. I'm starting to feel a little bit better, but I was it was mostly because I was like, hey, I don't even know how to describe it. It was just like being in a thick jungle, and you can't really stand anywhere. So you're standing on branches and you're like holding on like this and trying to get the kitty and talk to it. And oh my gosh. So that was kind of exciting. It was very exciting. So the Humane Society officer, her name was Faith. So we named her Faith temporarily. I know. What am I doing on the right? Hi, Pappy.
Dawn's reading a comment here in the chat for those who are like, what? Wait, what was that? Our friend Pappy Schmear says Dawn's on the right tonight. I was about to say how good Matt looked, and I realized the switch. Let's fix that real fast here. Let's see. There we go. All right. So there we go. Now Dawn's on the correct side. It's because I actually was in the broadcast first tonight, which is unusual. So that is why I was on the other side. But thanks, Pap. Appreciate the flattery. I hope you like my hair tonight, man. All right. So anyhow,
mine did look good, but I'm hot. I'm really hot. I know I can't complain. It's like was 72 here today.
Oh, Dawn, it's been like 90 forever here.
Everyone, but in my defense, there's like this humidity coming up from some storms in Mexico.
Okay.
And so normally we're dry, and we can't handle this humidity. But there's a really cool breeze coming from the ocean. But yeah, no, it's
nice. That sounds like heaven. That sounds amazing.
Okay, Pappy says I need a proper costume for these adventures, so I need to know what kind of costume I should wear. For like tramping through the weeds and the stuff, you need like a hazmat suit or chainmail, or something along those lines to protect yourself from the wilderness. Basically, that's how I interpreted it. Yeah, I thought about that when I ran over there with my shorts on. But what I did do was I ran home. I got snippers because I could see the hedges, but I really needed a chainsaw, and I sprayed myself with bug spray multiple times, even in my hair and stuff. Peppermint and clove bug spray. And Pape says I have good hair too, but Matt's hair always makes me smile in a good way. What would be smiling in a bad way? Thank you, though, regardless. Yeah, how would you smile in a bad way? I love it. Smile before you push me over a cliff? That's kind of in a bad way, I suppose. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, you're talking to some true crimers here, so be careful what you say. No, we like watching it, not creating it, I'm pretty sure. But I can't speak for everyone. But yeah, so let's see what else. There was something else. It'll come up in my brain. I didn't write it down, and that's bad when I don't. Oh, I know what it is. Yeah. I'm concerned. I have a concern. I have a concern. A lot of people are like, it's just the kicker, You're concerned about Carlson? Really? Why? Tell me more about that. Well, just that he's been missing a lot of kicks. Well, here's the thing. Mason, I really wanted Mason back. I don't understand. I don't know much about what happened, but I really... It's money.
It's money in trying to get a nice young team to develop and be cheap for a while so we can get past the cap stuff that we have been carrying. I mean, I think that's what it is. And Mason Crosby, there's going to try to. I'm sorry, I'm just totally railroading you here.
No,
Don, I'm sorry,
Railroad away.
It's always been the case that they try to get rid of a guy a year before they're not good anymore, and they kind of just guessed wrong with Aaron because he's coming off of 2 MVP seasons. But Mason Crosby, you can see he's been diminishing, and he was saying like I was going off that surgery last year, and he's had some videos of like kicking him from the 60, like looking awesome, but it's in a very controlled situation instead of like, well, we're in practice, I just got to kick it, here we go. I don't know. I mean, I'm not worried about it because I feel like the ones that he has hit, like it's been inconsistent, but like he's hit some really, really long ones for like that look really good, like just like got him right through where the reporters are saying would look good from like 10 more yards away or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's gonna be as consistent as Mason Crosby right off the bat, and he'll probably never be the Packers' lead scorer like Mason Crosby.
Well, that's what I was. Yes, exactly. So, this is the lead scorer. We have a new team, and that margin could make a lot of difference, right?
It could.
But that's if we think we're going to be competitive this year. But you don't. You always have a chance. You always have a chance.
Yeah. We have a chance of getting into the playoffs, I'd say. But like realistically, if you look around the league at like how good the top 10 offenses are, how good the top 10 defenses are, like I we've talked a lot about this. Like I'm hopeful for the season and just really want to see like improvement. But like if we get in the playoffs, unless we somehow caught fire and like magic happened, like we're not gonna win the Super Bowl this year. So it's kind of like, well, if we're not concerned about this kicker is going to keep us from winning a championship ring, give him a year to develop, and like he has a lot of potential. And, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't mean to. I feel like I'm just totally like railroaded over what you're saying there. I want to cede the floor and stop talking. Go ahead.
Well, and that brings up another point. A lot of people are like, we don't really want to go to the playoffs because we want to be better positioned for the next draft so that we're not, middle of the road too. So yeah, I'm good with anything. But I just, Mason was our top scorer. He's so consistent. Enjoyed him very much. I think it's just all of that it's just and then hearing these kind of erratic kicks that it's kind of like and a lot of people are like, well, it's just the kicker, but my point only was that it's the kicker can make a big difference.
Definitely can. I mean, a 1-score game, that's field goal right there. It's
game-winning field goal. Exactly. That's not. Yeah. And then, of course, we're hearing a lot about the wind at Lambeau Field, and he's getting used to that and, all that stuff. So
that's true. If we're indoors, you'd probably have a better, percentage of good kicks by now. So that's a good point.
And Pappy Schmears brought up, speaking of true crime, your neighbor, not really my neighbor,
not our neighbor,
Green Bay native, Green Bay resident, Taylor Shabiznes. I don't think she got an insanity verdict though. She got guilty. They said she wasn't insane. So she got guilty. And then, so it was like a 2-phase trial. It was quite interesting actually. So they did the regular trial. Did she murder? Did she not? That type of thing. And she pretty much didn't have any defense because she admitted to doing it, like while being taped by the police. So there wasn't a lot there for her defense attorney to do. Whether or not she was insane when she did it, she definitely has some mental health issues. So that was the second trial, was whether or not she was insane or she was not guilty by reason of insanity because she was insane, which is a whole different way. Like every state is different on how they handle these types of things. It's really interesting. I mean, and so like some states say, well, if you're to a certain degree mentally ill, you're not competent to stand trial. So that wasn't the issue. This is a different issue. So yeah. So she was guilty. I mean, she was found guilty, and she was also found not whatever the what is it called? Not NGI, not guilty by reason of insanity. NGI, right? And so then in a couple months they're going to do their pre sentencing investigation, and in a couple of months the judge will sentence her accordingly. Now she'll still have an opportunity for the judge to send her to a mental health facility, which is kind of interesting. So there's like layers and layers in Wisconsin. And it does seem like, even though it's a little complicated, it seems like it's the more fair of some of the ones that I've seen. It's not as cut and dry. There's layers to it, especially for people who need help. It's so she's guilty.
That's the take home.
Boy, is she guilty. Oh my gosh, it was so awful. So if you don't know, Pappy says thank you for staying ahead of this verdict because she decapitated her victim.
Since I don't know a lot about it, except for like the really interesting last name, Shabiznos.
Shabiznos. I looked that up too. I was like, what kind of name? I've never heard that name before. She made it up. She made it up. And added it. Yeah. So, and then there was the biggest thing really to talk about is regards to Taylor Shabiznos is whether or not she's a Bears or a Packers fan.
Well, somehow.
Yeah, because she was born, I believe, in Illinois, or her father certainly was. He was a Bears fan. Then she was raised mostly in Green Bay. I think she went to the same high school as Wes Hodquist, not mistaken. And I saw a picture of her with a Green Bay Packers jersey on. But anyway, so we don't know. Taylor, if you're listening, let us know.
Taylor, since you're listening. There
you go. Go Packers, go Bears. Okay, all right. Back to business. Maddie. So anything else about your week or your weekend that you want to share before we move forward?
I'm going to see Barbie tomorrow, taking the day off. My wife
nice.
going to have the day off tomorrow. She actually has the day off from work just normally. It's a whole thing. So I was like, I'll take the day off too. We'll go do stuff. And nothing really to report. Nothing I can think of. It's kind of just a chill weekend last weekend. And this week's been just like, been kind of low key. Getting excited for the semester to start, which is happening soon. Loving all of the distractions on my, my lock screen, my Twitter notifications from the beat reporters, but we'll get to that in a minute. So, I feel just feeling good. Feeling good, Dawn. Feeling good.
I love it. And I can't wait to hear what you think of Barbie. I might have just had too much candy, and after a 3-hour Oppenheimer movie, and like it was a lot. It was fun. It was really fun. I wore pink.
Ooh.
I did. That's about it. I just basically threw on a pink shirt and some pink earrings and ran out pink lipstick and ran out the door. That was not a lot of preparation into that. I had a lot of friends who were posting their pictures, and they were just like having Barbie parties with Barbie cakes and all this stuff. Yeah, I can't do that, but I brought a lot of candy. That's all.
There you go.
Yeah. So let's get to our superlatives, Maddie. I'm excited to hear what you have to say.
So do you want me to go first then?
I do, because I feel like I've been so randomly picking things up, and I think it'll help get me back into. I want to tell you one more thing.
Yeah.
About this, on this. I realized something about myself, self-discovery. I have been reluctant to take in as much content because I am so extremely excited. I can't stand myself. If I start like thinking and watching and stuff, I cannot wait. I mean, we're only a week away from just preseason.
It's crazy.
Crazy.
And in fact, a week from tomorrow, the Packers are in town here in Cincinnati playing the Bengals for the first preseason game. I'm going to be there. A bunch of people from Twitter are not going to be there. A bunch of people who I thought were going to come are not able to. No hard feelings, folks. I love you all. I'm going with my father-in-law instead. He, of course, is a big Bengals fan, so that'll be a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Are they practicing too? Are you?
Yes. I don't know what the schedule is for like what's open, what's not. I mean, I'm working all next week, so I'd have to miss it anyhow. But actually, I'll be. It's funny. I'll be right down there on Wednesday afternoon because we're taking like a work trip to go see a Reds game. The Reds are good right now, which is actually a lot of fun. I gotta say, a side note there.
Cool.
Yeah, some really exciting players. So good time to be a Reds fan. Good time to be a Bengals fan. And while we're at it, Don, Speaking of the
Oh,
Cincinnati soccer team, FC Cincinnati, that's Football Club Cincinnati. It's like Washington football team, basically. Our team is also extremely good right now for soccer. So there's like it's a really good time for the locals, the Cincinnati
yeah.
sports fans. Things are going really well for all their teams right now, which is exciting.
It's very exciting. Okay, and so while we're on that,
We'll get to superlatives eventually, folks. We'll get there.
eventually we'll get there. We're almost there. We're almost there. Dusty mentioned that in terms of handsomeness, that Joe Burrow wasn't to him.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
No, it's true. I'm so glad he said that. I was like, I didn't see it either. I mean, he's okay, but the whole idea that he's a Macaulay Culkin with, I forgot how he said it. It was like, yes, exactly.
Macaulay Culkin with a sense of style, I think is what he said.
With a sense of style. And yeah, I got that. I totally felt that, Dusty.
Okay, so I can provide the opposite viewpoint, right? And hey, Brian Murphy with us here today.
Hey, Brian.
Yeah, I don't really watch a lot of soccer. It's just it's exciting that they're good. That's all. So the thing about Joe Burrow isn't like his face, because yeah, Macaulay Culkin all the way, Home Alone, right? It's his swagger, it's his energy, like he walks in wearing something that looks like a lot of people couldn't pull it off. The kind of clothes he wears sometimes, they're just like ridiculous, or like they're trying to like dress up like a a parody of like a 1970s blaxploitation film Pimp or something like that, but somehow this guy, he's got the what is it, I guess, the presence, the drip, the rizziness, I don't know, whatever the kids are saying these days, to actually pull it off, and like in that confidence, that swagger, that sense of style somehow just really works. And I think he's a very attractive man, frankly. Yeah, I'm Team Joe Burrow on that one. Team what's the word? There's a bunch of nicknames for him. I can't think of now, but like Joe Burr, for example. So no, here for it. Here for my city's infatuation with him. Absolutely.
Okay. What do you think of what's his name? Oh my God, the Jaguars.
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor with
the good hair. He's got nice hair.
I mean, I don't see that. I remember a couple people that don't even watch football mentioned, when they were playing last year, oh, he looks like somebody from a romance model or book or something like that. I'm like, oh, I mean, I don't find him at all attractive either. No, I don't find him unattractive. I don't see it. Joe Burrow I love him. He's grown on me. But like if I walked past him on the street, I wouldn't be like, oh, he's a good looking guy. Yeah. Like, okay.
So yeah, Trevor Lawrence, I think like he does look like he's from a romance novel in that he has like the same hair as Fabio, I think is what that is.
Oh, okay. But the big nose.
He's got a big nose. Big old classic Roman nose. Yeah.
Which I normally like, but I like a good strong nose.
Brian says in the comments here, Matt's wife better watch out, lol. I mean, I can appreciate the attractiveness of another man, but I, definitely still going to be a committed husband, let's say.
Yes. All right, we can do that. We can have both ideas in our brain without.
That's right. We are complex creatures. Don, are there any particular quarterbacks or other NFL players, since we're on this topic, that you find particularly attractive, though? Are they kind of like, do it for you at all?
Well, certainly Jimmy Garoppolo
he's very handsome.
He is very good looking. And funny thing, Dusty said he thought Joe, Justin Herbert.
Your Herbie.
My Herbie. He's okay. He's cute. I put him like in the Joe Burrow for me, but Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm trying to think, who else do we have? I never thought Aaron Rodgers was even slightly attractive.
No.
To me.
And less so the greasier he got, I'd say.
Well, I mean, he just isn't aging well. He looks older than me, and I'm twice his age. So
there it is.
There it is.
Every episode.
Got it in. But I'm trying to think, who else is there? Jimmy. Obviously, Jimmy just like outstandingly attractive.
Mm-hmm. I totally get that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly true. Yeah.
I'm trying to like brain. Let's see. Who does he play for? It's another Florida team, or is it Atlanta? He was really good last year. They went to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
So not Atlanta. He was good last
It
year.
was okay. I'm going to look it up while you start your superlatives.
All right, sounds good.
I'm going to look all the quarterbacks up, and we're going to rate how attractive they are. Since
the content you've been waiting for, folks.
Yeah, well, since we're waiting for the season to start,
I will. Okay. I'll do my first superlative. So, we said before that it would be so easy to just like take like the most obvious thing every week to talk about. For superlatives, we could easily take like a thing that Dusty did, a thing that John Meerdink said, a thing that Andy Herman did, or whatever. An amazing take that Maggie Loney had, for example, something hilarious that Sarah Keller had. There's like these things that are like really simple. Like, oh, I could go to that if I wanted to. So when I use one that like is from Andy Herman, I always feel like I'm cheating. But the thing is, Dawn.
Yes.
All of the work that he puts into like his content creation when it's training camp is I really feel like above and beyond the other folks who are doing it. And that's like not to say anything bad about all of the beat reporters we love who are there like tweeting. Your friend of the show, Wes Hodkowitz, or like Mike Spofford, or Bill Huber, who's a really good in this too, by the way, or Matt Steinman, on and on and on. All these guys, and I'm probably women who I'm forgetting who do this as well. But my point is, Andy Herman is like live tweeting the stuff, and I feel like I'm there watching it because he's like just in detail, like what's happening play to play, like through the drives. Yeah. And so that's happening, and that's great. And I'm seeing it like while I'm at my computer, working. And then he does like the quick hits right afterwards as a podcast, as a quick like end of the day podcast. So right afterwards, if you weren't like catching all the minutia of all of his tweets, you can like listen to his quick hits thing. And then in the next morning, he's going to release, like the more in-depth thoughts on that training camp day. So it's like, you are getting everything like quick and digestible from him. And it's so deeply appreciated. It's so cool to see it. So it really gets me psyched about it. It gets me excited knowing, what's happening in the practices there, who's flashing, who's doing what. It's amazing. It's amazing stuff.
And he maintains a really great level of excitement too throughout. Like he's just boom, 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 and it's just like a really great, his delivery is it's kind of quick, actually. I think I mentioned last year that sometimes I put his content on like 0.75 speed. He sounds a little slurry and drunk, and it's kind of cute, but it's because he puts so much in there. And he's so fast, but his level of enthusiasm, and it's not over the top or anything, but it's high energy. You can really, like you're having coffee or something.
That's makes sense. I listen to him and like most podcasts at 1.25 speed, so I'm having like the extra fast, extra excited Andy when I listen to him.
yeah, I've had to do that sometimes too to get who did. The Eagles. Never mind. Go ahead. Keep going. I'm looking for my quarterback.
Go ahead to my next one, Dawn. My next superlative.
Yes.
Right. My next superlative was best profile. So we just mentioned Bill Huber, who writes for SportsIllustrated.com. Or it's confusing what the website is. He's Bill Huber. He's amazing. And so he wrote a profile on Rashawn Gary. And so it's called "People Make a Mistake When They Bet Against Rashawn." And this was a quote coming from his mom. So it's appropriate that the article itself starts with two words, Jennifer Coney. Jennifer Coney is Rashawn Gary's mom, and this is a profile as much about her as it is about him, because it's about how Rashawn Gary's like extremely high level of success, overcoming dyslexia, becoming one of the top scouts in the nation when he's coming into like high school and finishing high school. His amazing work, in the NFL has all happened because of the support that he's always had from his mom, who, for reading this article, you can tell like she's always there for them. She goes above and beyond. And so just to read about the relationship, both Rashawn and his mom talking about, what they've gone through, how they've, lived through it together, how they've come through it. It's one of those profiles where you just want to like cry and call your mom and be like, "Mom, I love you so much." It was really beautiful. It was really beautiful. Outstanding writing as always from Bill, and a great way to get to know Rashawn Gary a bit more,
I love that.
It's really beautiful. It's really good.
I'll check it out. I'll check it out for sure.
And got a Brian
Yeah.
mentions here. Brian
Okay.
says Gary's mom also ran his social media and blocked a lot of people. I was wondering why. Rashawn Gary has
Are
a
you
lot of people blocked. Yeah, a lot of people are blocked by Rashawn Gary. Not me, fortunately. I never say anything about him. So it was his mom that did it. That's interesting. And while we're at it real fast here, it's worth mentioning that Pappy says in the comment, Andy Herman's cousin Pee Wee does a great job too. Man, R.I.P. Pee Wee Herman.
Pee Wee. I love that.
Quick shout out for our guy Paul Rubens. The movie Pee Wee's Big Adventure is the movie I've seen more than any other movie, like more times than any other movie. Growing up, the babysitter I went to, her kid was there with us, and he's 2 years younger than me, same age as my sister. And almost every day after school, he would put that movie on. And so originally I was like, turn this thing off, dude. Come on, every day. But eventually it's like, all right, going after school, gonna go watch Pee Wee's Big Adventure like every night. I'm gonna go do this with the Gasanis. And I could like reenact it all like here. I could start from the beginning, tell you first line all the way through pretty much the whole thing. Apparently Peppy didn't know that he passed away. Yeah, no, that happened this week, a couple days ago.
And that's funny because I was actually going to mention that in my weekly. I had a busy week, but I had a lot of things, but I was really devastated. I mean, evidently he was fighting cancer for a long time. I love Pee Wee.
Just kept it to himself, didn't want to trouble his fans. Oh man.
Yeah.
He was a comedic genius. He was from all accounts an amazing kind human being. He was definitely mischaracterized in the sort of like scandalous things that happened. I mean, okay, he was in a theater watching X-rated stuff with people, and it was rated. Like, come on. Like, we didn't get into like the details there, but like, what do you expect? It's a movie showing porn,
right? And it went from that for people accusing him of all kinds of things that weren't true.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Because then there's the other situation was he got a gift of some stuff. It had some inappropriate, like very old material. When he found out the inappropriate stuff was there, he reported himself to the police to say, "I didn't know this was in here. I plead guilty for possessing it. Like, I understand this is illegal." Like, he turned himself in, and he had to like do whatever, pay a fine. I don't have to get jail time, but like that's just decent.
Right.
So the fact that some of this stuff is coming out again now in social media, like people trying to bring up these character smears against him. It's like, no, can we not relitigate this? Like, he was a good person. He did the right thing. He was kind to people. He never hurt anybody. So
right.
No. Much love, much respect for Paul Rubens.
A
true American hero.
Oh my gosh. Tequila. I mean, I'll never not hear that song and not think of him. So fun.
We got an update from Lorenzo. That's 16-14 in the Hall of Fame game. Jets still up 16-14. Thanks, Lorenzo. Appreciate that. I don't want to watch it, but I'm kind of curious, so I appreciate that actually. So
yeah.
All right. Dawn, should I go ahead to my my last superlative, or do you want to jump in?
Mine has a theme and it's going to drum. Well, or I could jump in and you can.
No, I'll go for it. Let's finish it off here. Then you can have the floor. So the last one. So I was talking about like this being like a really heartwarming, great read from Bill. So I was kind of like hitting the heart with a nice article. The second one hits the head with a nice article. So this is Paul Noonan, who Paul, if you're listening, we need to get you on the show at some point. Don and I are going to be talking about guests we're going to invite on after the show today. You're definitely one of the first people I want to get on here, just so you know, man. So anyhow, Paul Noonan wrote this amazing article called Cautiously Optimistic Part 1, Matt the Genius, Matt LaFleur. And it was it's awesome because sometimes Paul Noonan will get kind of like down on the Packers. He'll be more like kind of like the negative voice in the room. And it's always going to be like with statistics, with well-founded reasons. So the fact that he starts off the article saying like, I'm going to be kind of positive here and I have reason for optimism. And so again, like the ideas that Paul has, the takes that he formulates and like puts out there, they're always informed by data. So if he's being optimistic, it means like, it's not just a feeling. It's not just a vibe. Like he's looking at the stuff and he's saying, this is why I'm optimistic about this. And so the article, so friggin' good because it just laid out like, look, here's why things maybe weren't working the way they should have, as well as they should have with Rodgers for like these very good reasons. You can see like you see why they did what they did. I mean, Rodgers is Rodgers, but like what he does and what Devontae Adams did, though it was spectacular, isn't really what you would see and expect from a Shanahan offense. So because of course, if you listen to the play callers, like y'all should have from Jordan Rodriguez from the Athletic, that the Shanahan style does like mutate and develop under anybody's like different hands, but still the fact of the matter is LaFleur wants to use that kind of approach and a lot of the ideas from it. But the thing is, with the Shanahan system, everything's so interlocked. Like you'll do this play here to set up this other thing that's going to happen later based on like how the other team's going to try to play against it. And this, it's a very holistic philosophy. And if you're
Right.
taking just parts of it and using parts of it, it's not going to work to its full effectiveness, you know?
Right.
Did you ever see Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon?
I might have read it. It's been a long time.
It's so random that this is like the analogy popping into my head. But it's almost like Jade Fox is like the enemy, and she gets like the manual that the masters use to train, and she takes like parts of it and tries to use it, and like figures out some of it. But because she's not looking at the whole thing, using the whole holistic philosophy, she can't truly be a master like Chow Yun-fat, whatever his name is in that movie. Can't think of it. But anyhow, Lee Mubai, I think is what it is. So I'm slaughtering names here. I realize. I apologize for that. But my point is, with Matt LaFleur now having the chance to actually incorporate all these different elements and components to it, and looking at the kind of personnel that he's been gathering, especially with taking like two swings at getting like a really good tight end to have like a solid target in the middle of the field, to actually have a quarterback who will throw it in the middle of the field.
We'll actually do that, right?
And looking at the fact that Jaden Reed is going to be, if he's going to be used as a slot receiver, is going to be spectacular at it, given like what he's shown that he can do. There are a lot of reasons to say like this could really work, and like again, in the first year they'll be figuring stuff out, so not like it's going to be like an explosive offense right away, but like the parts are there, and it could be really amazing. So that me, Donna, I love analytics, I love statistics, I love that kind of thinking. So that article made me want to run through a wall. I was so excited reading it. So
for sure,
outstanding work from Paul, because 1, easy to read and digest, 2, full of great stuff, and 3, just like really exciting, really well written stuff.
I loved. I actually read that, and I loved how he painted the picture. And he all drilling down all the way to which players were more fitting for that scheme, for Matt LaFleur's scheme that we have now compared to last year. And we're not just talking about QB1. So I just thought it was really interesting. One of the little tidbits, and I sensed this is how much I don't know about football, but I feel like I get some things, but I never know like what they mean. But he mentioned that Shanahan will call a play that he knows won't work in order to set up for another play. And I always thought he was doing that. I was like, wow. And like you said, it's a much more holistic approach. And he also mentioned that, Rodgers is a good tactician, but he wasn't a holistic. He didn't see the game in that way.
Yeah.
And for a lot of reasons, that is not hard to believe. So because we know his personality and that. So, that was a great article, and I felt the same way at the end. That's what I mean. I just get so excited if I take in content. I'm just like, and I don't care. I don't care what happens this year. I know. I'm not going to say that when we lose.
No, but for real.
Yeah, it's so exciting. It's so exciting to just start fresh and new, and
it is. Yeah. It's like the beginning of a new relationship almost. Like we don't have all this baggage of darkness retreats and are they committed? Are they really fully in? Like this feels like, we're in this and we're gonna do this. And Rodgers is like has a new relationship himself, and it's like he's posting pictures with his new girlfriend is what it feels like, but you're like, that's okay, man. We're broken up. Like we got a new relationship. This is great.
We're broken up. Yeah. And you know what? It's interesting that you mentioned that. He posted tonight with the Hall of Fame game a picture with what's his name, Packer player
Alan Lazard, Randall
Cobb, like all chummy, and it's like he's living in the past. We're moving forward. And even the comments that I don't want to say his name now because of the new lawsuit against him, but Murphy talking about how seven players, of Pack. It says like Pack, or no, it wasn't Murphy. It was Wayne Larrabee who said Packers West. No, Packers East.
Yeah.
Yeah, team.
Yeah.
So many Packers players on the Jets now. So, but we wish them well, but it's a whole different philosophy. And I loved that article by Paul Newman. And Paul, if you're listening, please come on our show. We would love to have you.
Yep. We'll be in touch.
Fantastic. And the quarterback I was thinking is Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. So you think he's attractive is what you're saying, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of that on Twitter. A lot of people think he's very attractive. I mean, whatever. To each their own. Like, I can see how a person would think that. So
no he's got like a perfect face. Really. I mean, I've thought that for a couple. He's a perfect face.
Perfect face. I'm gonna actually
look at that face. Like, he's perfect.
That's
like the right cheekbones, the perfect smile. No, nice manly jaw. Oh, okay.
Yeah, no,
all right.
He's got a nice face. I'll agree with you on that.
More classic beauty, classic good looks, not the Macaulay, little boy look. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm just saying. Okay.
So what do you got, Don? What do you got?
My superlatives this week. Finally, I've been trying to get these done. Hi, Touch. I've been trying to get these out. The part 3 of 3 of fraternizing with the enemy, NFC North opponents. We don't want to leave the Lions out. So we're going to start with the superlative of most unlucky. When you look up most unlucky NFL team on Google, the Lions come up. And it's a really interesting thing, because I was Googling, and you only get to have it once. They do like this little slideshow thing, and you can't go back and you can't go forward and you can't find it again. It's kind of cool. Anyway, I think that might have been Bing. In any case, so that brought me to a couple of things. So and a lot of people probably know this. Okay. So what I'd like to do a couple things when I look at the enemy for my fraternizing with the enemy segments. So I like to do some research from a fan's perspective. If I were this team's fan, who would I be listening to? What would I be thinking about? And it's not all that different. Just insert the name of your team and your quarterback and whatever. So that led me to the Detroit Lions podcast, which is not the official podcast for the Detroit Lions. Okay. It's just called that. They have their own. But I got some history. And the Detroit Lions date back to 1928, so they're a very old franchise. Not quite as old as the Packers, but very old. One of the National Football League's oldest franchise. In 1934, the Lions started off with a 10-game win streak that included 7 shutouts.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. However, they lost the last 3 games. I'm sorry. You got to laugh. It's the Lions. To the Green Bay Packers.
Ooh.
And the Chicago Bears. And then they ended up finishing second place behind the Bears at that time. Fun fact, 1934 was the year George Richards, the owner of the Lions at that time, negotiated an agreement with the NBC to carry his Thanksgiving games live across all of the network's affiliated stations. So that's where the Thanksgiving
from. Oh my God. That goes back.
Isn't that crazy? 1934. Yeah. Since then, the tradition of the Lions playing on Thanksgiving has continued uninterrupted, and we know we play them this Thanksgiving. So that's kind of cool.
Oh yeah.
So what I came up with the whole unlucky part perception is a couple of things. Number one, the history with Bobby Lane and whether or not he cheated. So a lot of fans believe that there was a curse on the Lions, the Bobby Lane curse, that has existed since, because he was let go. And a lot of people didn't know at the time he was let go because he was being accused of cheating in fixing games. And there are some books about this and some evidence that perhaps he did, which I'll get into a little bit real quick. Another thing that's on the Lions fans Mine's right now is the schedule, how the Lions fans feel about their schedule. And after listening to several podcasts, more than I wanted to, um, they're very optimistic this year.
Okay.
It's coming out around 12-5 to 11-6 on average that they think that they're going to have. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see it. I mean, sure.
Okay. But that's okay. Another thing that's on their mind is the coach, Dan Campbell. Will Dan Campbell be the turning point? And will he ever find a suit that fits properly? I like Dan Campbell.
Yeah, it's hard not to like him, right? I mean, I don't want to like any rival anyone,
Right.
any Vikings, Bears, or Lions players, coaches, personnel, anything. But no, he's likable. I mean, he's kind of like the crazy uncle, But no, I like his energy. I like what he's bringing to the team and the feistiness they have. So yeah, no, I like him too. I gotta say, I like him.
He's so emotional, open with his emotions. I like that.
I like that.
Lions culture. Campbell believes locker room culture is more important than anything. Anything. Think about that from a coach.
Yeah.
And he believes in allowing the locker room culture to work itself out without interference.
I think that's important. Yeah. Because it's not organic. It's not real if you don't let it develop by itself.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be hard though for me. I'd be like, if I were a coach or a manager, you'd want to make sure things are going okay, not just let it play out. Like if there's a fight or a beef or,
Yeah, I mean, sorry to interrupt here, but did you watch Ted Lasso? I can't remember if you did, Dawn.
No.
Okay, so I highly recommend it. For those who haven't seen it yet, it's amazing. But I will say, I don't know which one we get into this since it's totally derailing things. Let's just say there are ways I think that a coach can have a positive influence on culture, but still at the end it has to be an organic thing. So you can affect it, but you can't force it. I think it's probably what he's saying, I would guess, You can't force the culture to be one thing, but you can kind of lead it.
I don't know if he's even talking about leading it. I don't know.
I'm curious now, but
he's very hands off.
Dan Campbell on team building. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fun fact, Detroit Lions official podcast is called 20 Man in the Huddle, which is very confusing.
Yes. Oh, man.
And why I took most of my info from the Detroit Lions podcast, thinking I was listening to the official podcast. But I realized while I was listening, I'm like, this can't be. Anyway, but the cool thing is the Detroit Lions podcast, not to be confused with 20 Man in the Huddle. Okay, the independent one, their motto, their tagline, listen to this. Where the Kool-Aid runs blue and rose-colored glasses never go out of style.
I like that.
It has music and everything. I love that. So real briefly about their unlucky history. The Lions have never won a Super Bowl, but they did win the NFC conference title in 1992. They won an NFL championship in 1935, 1952, 1953, and 1957.
Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah. Shocking trade with Bobby Lane. Okay, let's see if I can go through this. This is really, I think, very interesting because I didn't realize gambling was a thing way back then, but okay. So despite all of his successes, the seeds for Lane's eventual departure began in the last game of the 1956 season when the Detroit Lions lost the division title to Chicago. Lane was knocked out of the game on a dirty, blindsided late hit by the Bears' Ed Meadows and backup Harry Gilmer, and it failed to rally the Lions. In need of a solid backup quarterback, Detroit, so he was injured. In need of a solid backup quarterback, Detroit surprisingly picked the Green Bay Packers pocket and acquired Toby Rote, the NFL's leading passer in 1956. Never heard of him. The shrewd move would quickly pay off in the 1957 in a season full of controversy. Buddy Parker suddenly resigned during training camp. New coach George Wilson announced that he would alternate quarterbacks. Sounds like a bad idea.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
2 weeks before the season, Lane was arrested for drunk driving.
Ooh.
Ashamed, Lane even offered to retire. He was beloved in Detroit. I don't know if you know his name, Bobby Lane, but he was. He was acquitted just days before breaking his ankle in the second to the last game of the season. Rote became the gridiron hero in leading the Lions to their third championship in 6 years. So it wasn't Bobby Lane who got that one in 1956.
Mhm.
As the 1958 season started, Lane and Rote still split time as the team dropped 3 exhibition games and the opener in Baltimore. However, the Green Bay game would be Lane's last as a Lion.
Oh my goodness.
He was traded to Pittsburgh unceremoniously at that. There's a big story just about that part of it. My reaction, like everyone else, was why, said Alex Karras from his home in LA. No one could give us a real explanation, and that disturbed a lot of the fans. They didn't tell anyone what was going on. However, beneath the surface, there has been speculation that Lane's sudden departure may have been due to alleged gambling on his own games.
Oh no! You
Yes.
can't do that.
Oh my gosh. Now get this, another Green Bay Packer connection. Former Packer Paul Hornung, who played against Lane in the 13-13 game, revealed in his 2004 autobiography, Golden Boy. I've heard of that. I haven't read it. He wrote, in the second game of the 1958 season, Lane did something peculiar against our team in Green Bay. The Lions were a 3.5-point favorite, and as Lane told me later, he had bet on them to cover the spread. The game ended in a tie after some sketchy QB choices.
Mm-hmm.
So it was obvious he had bet on the game. Bobby gambled more than anybody who ever played football, period, according to this author. I've got like 20 different links for this. So lots of so investigative reporter Dan Maldia wrote in his book Interference, How Organized Crime Influences Professional Football. My God. That Detroiter Donald Dice Dawson, a convicted gambler, told him he had placed bets with Lane and that Lane had fixed games or shaved points in no fewer than 7 games over a period of 4 years while Lane played with the Detroit Lions, and later he did the same thing with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh.
All right. So
Dawson learned his lesson, huh? Jesus.
Yeah, Dawson told Moldia, I was involved with players in at least 32 NFL games that were dumped or where points were shaved. Moldia added Lane was thought to have shaved points or participated in the fixing of several NFL games, according to several bookmakers and law enforcement officials. So, it's funny. It's all kind of comes full circle because I think one of my earlier on superlatives was about cheating and gambling in the NBA.
Yeah.
And that whole scandal and that podcast about that and the books and stuff that is written. So I was just kind of surprised it was happening. I mean, why should I be? But so long ago, and it's just going to get worse. I mean, gambling on games is almost going to be like there's going to be gambling. It's part of the game now. It's part of the money. It's part of the business. And the NFL, excuse me, not NBA, is actually talking about putting in kiosks for gambling right in the stadiums. I know. It just, I don't like that.
It's kind of gross.
I don't like it. So, yeah. So that's the kind of sordid history of the Detroit Lions and Bobby Lane in particular. And a lot of people think that they were cursed because they haven't won or even gone to the Super Bowl since.
Right. That's fascinating, Don. I didn't know like any of that stuff. That's
really? Because I was so worried that everybody knew this and they're going to be like, yeah, we know that already.
No.
So, okay, cool. Well, and even if you don't know it or parts of it, it's kind of interesting to take it all together as a whole. It's like, wow, that's a lot. So there we go.
Nice. Love that.
Oh, yeah. So now we can get on with, we don't have to look at our enemies for a little while. I don't know what my next fraternizing with the enemy will be. Maybe it'll be Jalen Hurts' good looks or
you can talk to his barber.
Jimmy Garoppolo's good looks. I thought it was really fascinating when Dusty said Justin Herbert. Justin is cute. He's a cute boy.
Looks like the shy kid at the back of the class. I don't know.
He looks like who? What?
The shy kid at the back of the class. Who doesn't talk to anybody.
He's really brilliant. Like
yeah, no doubt.
I don't know how somebody can get a 4.1 GPA, but he managed to get that. He seems like a genuinely nice person.
I get that vibe, like in interviews and stuff. Yeah.
Humble, very humble. Yeah. You know, most people who are ultra talented and super intelligent usually are. They don't want to be, you know, oh, I'm the most people aren't like that. It's the exception when somebody's like, I'm the smartest person in the room and everybody needs to know it. You know, it's not common that people are like that, right? They stand out like a sore thumb. So I'm not naming any names. I know you think I'm going there. I'm not going there.
Of course I do. I was like, I see what you're getting at there, Dawn.
No. I'm just
talking about me. No, just kidding.
Okay. Anywho, so there you have it. 3 of 3. We did the Bears, the Vikings, and the Lions. And the Lions was the most endearing to research, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, and they're of those 3, like they're the most endearing team. You know, that there was a
until they start beating us.
Right. I mean, that's been happening. I guess actually they've been beating us up a lot lately. But no, Matub did a really funny quote tweet. I'm not gonna call him a repost, a quote tweet today because there was somebody had posted that the Lions like sold out their season tickets or something for the first time ever.
Oh, I saw.
So Matub had like, you know, quote tweeted said something like "that's cute" or something. It's like, like, of course, that's meant very sarcastically when he wrote that, but like, yeah, it is kind of cute.
It is cute.
Look at you guys.
I'm happy for that.
You.
Yeah.
Selling out your season tickets. Isn't that cool? Good for you guys. Good for you guys.
We're so bad. Oh my gosh. No, it is. I felt the same way when I saw that. I like Detroit, though. I would like to go to a game there. I think it was Steve Perhatch who mentioned how cool it is to go to a game there. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
But I don't get back to the Midwest very often, so I doubt that'll happen.
Well, next time you do, we'll be seeing the Saints together. It'll be amazing. Looking forward to that. Oh, my goodness.
So excited.
I'm very excited. So I just made there. All right. Well, Dawn, should I bring it home here?
Bring her home, Maddie.
All right. So, friends, of course, you'll find links in our show description for everyone we mentioned, so please check it out. Also, we'd love to have a chance to interview you and shout you out if you're a subscriber and a football fan. If you'd like to nominate someone to be a guest on our podcast, please let us know. That means even yourself, too, for that matter. Our DMs are open on all the social platforms. And, folks, when you subscribe to our podcast, you help us to keep spreading the love in our community. And the best way to help this podcast grow is by sharing it with your friends and family.
Yes, Maddie, that's right, because we love you. We're so glad to know you, to be fans of you, and have the luxury of being fans of the most storied team in the NFL. We appreciate your support, your subscriptions, and sharing our pod. And we look forward to seeing you next week on
Hey, we like your pod.
Football in general comes down to discipline and people owning their roles. And when you aren't disciplined or you go outside the scheme, bad stuff happens.